Good morning, I'm Matt Scooby. This is CTV News Channel. Thanks for being with us on this Thursday. We begin in the Middle East this morning, where Israel and Hamas have agreed to the first phase of a peace plan for Gaza. From Tel Aviv to the Gaza Strip, celebrations are underway across the region. The agreement paves the way for a pause in fighting and the release of the remaining hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. That comes 2 days after the 2-year anniversary of the October 7th attack by Hamas. The peace plan was advanced by U.S. President Donald Trump, who says the release of the hostages will likely take place next week.
We'll be involved in it, but the big thing is hostages are going to be released. It's probably our time would be probably Monday, and you know they're a terrible situation. They're deep in the earth.
Well, for the latest on this, let's bring in CTV's Jeremie Charron, who is live in Ottawa for us this morning. Jeremie, clearly some significant news. We know the Prime Minister and other world leaders are reacting to us, but bring us up to speed on the latest.
Yeah, Matt, look, this is certainly a significant development in the Middle East and the war between Israel and Hamas. The closest, certainly, we have been to so far to reaching any kind of peace agreement between the two sides. Of course, this is the first phase. And as you've touched on, excuse me, this plan put forward by U.S. President Donald Trump begins with the release of the hostages and the retraction of Israeli troops in Gaza. Donald Trump taking to True Social late last night to announce the details of this plan. And again, this means both sides have agreed to this plan that will release the remaining hostages. There are 48 of them, said to be 48 of them. Israel believes that 20 of those hostages are still alive. And in exchange, Israeli forces are going to, start removing themselves from Gaza, and there will be, a ceasefire, a temporary ceasefire. As you see there in the True Social post from Donald Trump, he says this means that all of the hostages will be released very soon. And he alluded to the fact that by the time the release happens in our time here, it'll be Monday. So expected to kind of get into the works through the weekend, and then the release of those hostages will happen on Monday. In exchange, Palestinian prisoners will be released as well. And we've seen a lot of reaction from world leaders. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney reacting to this announcement from Donald Trump late yesterday. The Prime Minister congratulating U.S. President Donald Trump for his essential leadership, he says. Also thanking Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey for their tireless work to support these negotiations. Carney goes on to say that he is relieved that the hostages will soon be reunited with their families. After years of intense suffering, peace finally feels attainable. Canada calls on all parties to swiftly implement all agreed terms and to work towards a just and lasting peace. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre also reacting on social media to this news yesterday. Poilievre saying that he also congratulates the president on negotiating a peaceful end to the Israel-Hamas war, a monumental achievement, he calls it, towards generational peace. He says that he looks forward to and prays for the return of all hostages and the end of this bloodshed so that all can thrive in a lasting peace. That is Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. Now, the important thing here, Matt, is, of course, this is the first step. We're talking about the release of Israeli hostages being held by Hamas in exchange for the release of Palestinian prisoners being held by Israel. We're going to see the beginning of Israeli troops retreat from Gaza and the establishing of a ceasefire. But then the real hard work begins, and there's been a lot of talk about this and a lot of skepticism when it comes to what happens next. Some of the terms of this deal include Hamas disarming and, turning over governance of Gaza to, a body that is not a terrorist entity. And so, how that transition happens is where there's still many questions that remain, and where these, countries like the U.S., like Egypt, like Qatar, have played key roles in negotiations. We'll have to continue some difficult and necessary work to ensure the smooth transition of power, if you will, in Gaza and governance. How does that look moving forward? And how do we ensure that Hamas is no longer operating in Gaza and has no influence in the governance of Palestine, that will be the question moving forward. So there's still, much work to be done, but this is the first step. Both sides have agreed to this first step, which is the important release of the Israeli hostages in exchange for, some Palestinian prisoners and the retraction of Israeli troops in Gaza.
Certainly, again, a very significant development. We're going to have more analysis as we continue this morning, but CTV's Jeremie Charron live in Ottawa for us. Thanks, Jeremy.
Anytime.